Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to What's the Big Deal About Jira Work Management. I'm John Funk, and I'll be doing the session this afternoon. Special thank you to Trundl for hosting JiraCon 22. Excited to be a part of this and to give you some more information about Jira Work Management. So let's take a look at what our agenda is going to be today. Oops. First, just some quick introductions. My name is John Funk. I'm the president and founder of ProVision Systems. And my moderator today is Mr. Robert Adler, who is with Fringe Technology. He and I are colleagues working with Fringe. Fringe is a gold solutions provider for Atlassian. So I'm proud that he's here walking alongside me today. So a little bit more about me. I've got about 25 to 30 years of project management experience, various tools over the year. But I picked up using Jira about 8 years ago, about 8.5, at the company that I used to work out before going out on my own for the consulting business. And just fell in love with it. And so over the years, I've been able to gain more and more expertise with it, which led me into a position to actually be invited to participate as a Atlassian Community leader. So that's been a lot of fun for the last 3 years, getting to interact with people around the world and help answer questions and help them out, because it was a lifesaver for me when I was first learning Jira. Jira can be very complicated, but it can be pretty simple too. And so the more people you have that kind of have your back and help you out, the better that is. So that's what I love about the community and being able to help out. We'll talk a little bit later about that towards the end of the talk today. So just a little bit of history about Jira Work Management. I know it's kind of new and people view it as new, but it's actually very, very old. It's really kind of the base product that Jira was originally created with. Over on the service side, it's known as Jira Core. So you see Jira Core Server. As Jira made the move into the cloud, it was originally called Jira Cloud Core. So that happened for a few years, and then along came Jira Software. We'll talk more about that a little bit later as to its intended purposes. But Jira Core sat out there alongside of Jira Software. Jira Service Management came along as well. And so you have these different family of tools, more or less, within the Jira environment. So it's been almost 2 years ago now. The Atlassian folks began to go through a revamp effort with Jira Core. And so they were looking for some users to kind of help them out. And as a community leader, I was able to make contact with some of the product designers and product managers to be able to help kind of influence what the current product looks like, and as the product was being built. And so that went on for several months, just being able to have some give and take, and just have some good advancement along the way. Those guys worked hard, did a fantastic job, as you can see with the current product. The product is still under construction. It's still being worked on. Still lots of things that can be rolled out and done, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's not static. It will continue to be developed over the years as they continue to put more things into the product. So that being said, about 1.5 years ago, it was launched, and it's been out there for a while ever since then. So kind of as a side note, we'll talk about this at the end of this as well. Being able to work with the product kind of caught the eye and attention of a publisher named Packet out of the UK and out of Mumbai. And so that led to them asking me to actually write a book about Jira Work Management. So we'll look at that a little bit later and give you an opportunity to have some information about how to get that. So be very honored if you would pick up a copy of that. There's an ebook and a written book as well. So that takes us into sort of what is the big deal then? Why is it so important right now? Well, Atlassian has really made it an effort to put work management in the forefront of things that they're doing. There's a real emphasis on it. And you saw that even back in Teams 22, back in April, where several of the keynotes actually addressed work management, um, the importance of it, not just the work management tool, Jira Work Management, the tool, but just the process of work management, all the things that are involved in that. That also bled into a lot of side sessions as well. Work management continued to come up, and over the months since then, Atlassian continues to make a real emphasis on it, really kind of shining a light on the Jira Work Management tool and the growth that's happening there. So why that emphasis then? Well, when you had Jira software come out in Jira Service Management, they all kind of met individual needs. And so what you saw was a lot of development teams that were jumping on Jira software. The company I worked at, that's how I got introduced to it, was it first came in with one particular team, and then mainly the development team, and then it kind of spread. And as other teams saw it, they were interested, they wanted to use it. And then before you know it, all of the development teams across the company were using Jira. And then after that, it was like, why are we using two different project management tools or test management tools across the organization? And so we dropped the other tool, moved everybody in the company over onto Jira. All of our management people and content, those types of things began to use Jira as well in an integrated effort. And so what you've seen with so much emphasis on development in the software product, and it's very robust. It does a lot of things, connects to a lot of different tools exterior to Jira as well, and probably is the best project management tool out there to work with development teams. A little biased, but I think that's true. But then the issue becomes, it's pretty complicated when you really get into it. And the reason it's complicated is it gives you so much flexibility. That's what makes it so powerful, and why so many people enjoy using the tool, is because you can do a lot of things with it. But along with that becomes, it becomes a little bit more of a, a bear to work with and try to get things right. And then as you looked at it, it's kind of skewed a little bit towards software teams, but other teams could do it as well. But with the complexity and with the emphasis on development, it just seems like a lot of other teams were getting missed out along the way. So Atlassian decided, hey, we need to revamp our Jira Core product, make it a little easier to use, make it a little more fun, make it a little bit more modern in its look and feel. If you go into it, it looks very similar to Asana and how that operates. So, it's a way to get business teams, especially, involved in the work that's happening inside the organization, whether that be legal or finance or HR or your marketing people. Just it can apply to pretty much every team in the company. And I'll give you some examples of how we used it within the last company that I was at. So that emphasis from Atlassian on work management this year and really pushing that's a big deal. It's a big deal at Atlassian, and when that happens, we should take a note of that. So, by the way, if you've got questions along the way, feel free to just throw those into the chat. And as we get to the Q&A session at the end of the talk, we'll make sure that we come back and address those as best we can. So that brings us kind of to the question, well, what work is it that we really do? And to look at that, I just threw up some pictures of kind of some things that we do as we kind of interact with all the tasks and things that we do on a daily basis. All of our work's just not done at work, right? So our place of business where we're collecting a paycheck and going to every day, we do a lot of other things, a lot of things around the house. Maybe they're DIY projects, maybe they're hobbies that we have. We also interact with people in various Organizations were groups, social settings, maybe that's church or other houses of worship, religious groups that you're involved with. Maybe it's nonprofits, maybe it's places that you volunteer with. Inside of all those groups, there's always tasks that need to be done. There's always work that needs to be done. And inside our personal life, there's a lot of things that we do, even outside of some of these hobbies or DIY stuff. We plan vacations. I've got 2 boys that are going to be getting married soon and within a year. And so there's weddings to plan. So there's, all kind of big events in our lives that come up that we can do with that. Sometimes we struggle when kids are littler or maybe teenagers with getting the things they need to get done around the house or to participate in the family. And so we could actually even use Jira Work Management to set up a simple Kanban board as just a reminder. It's really anything that we do that helps everyone communicate, collaborate with each other so that everybody's aware of kind of the status of things, what needs to be done, how it's flowing, who's next, who's working on what, things of that nature. It's just an easy way to collaborate. We know that most projects for years and years and years, and the number one reason most projects fail is because of poor communication. Jira really helps to solve that in many facets. So that collaboration could just happen in the tool there, and we'll see what that looks like in just a minute. So a lot of the talk here is going to be doing a demo and walking through the tool itself. So with this emphasis on work management by Atlassian, the emphasis also is that they want to move everyone to the cloud. We know that with the server version being sunsetted soon, and everyone's going to be migrating to either cloud or data center. And so work management is going to take more of a role in that as well. So shutting down server, that's a big deal, right? So getting people ready for cloud, and when they get into cloud, we want to be able to take care of all the needs within your organization, not just software teams, but all of our teams can work on that. And because it is a part of the Jira tool family, then it's deeply integrated with the other tools, Jira Software, Jira Service Management. And there's actually going to be a talk tomorrow, which I encourage you to tune in by Loretta Brunette, actually an Atlassian staff member with Jira Work Management team. And she's going to talk a little more in depth on those integrations with those dev teams and being able to communicate between the tools and what that looks like. I'm going to hit a very cursory about what the tool looks like and how you can operate it. And she'll get into more in depth with all those integrations and things. So lots of things we can do, lots of types of work we have, vacations, holidays, trips, weddings, big events to plan, hobbies, DIY, and then all of our nonprofit volunteering, areas of that nature, right? So then we head into our actual work teams. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, things like legal and marketing and finance and HR. And they probably are using a variety of tools out there, probably using spreadsheets, maybe something like Microsoft Planner, maybe, all these disparate tools that kind of crop up within the organization. And these aren't getting shared between teams. They're not even, some of them easily shared within teams. And so you have a lot of emails that go back and forth. You have a spreadsheet, maybe that's shared somewhere, but a lot of times it's getting passed around. And so as my previous work, I kind of made it sort of my mission that whenever I saw a spreadsheet in use, I was going to stamp that out, right? So let's get you off of that spreadsheet. Let's get you into Jira. Let's make it easier to collaborate and do that. So, a little bit of that problem was, there's not really anything like a spreadsheet in Jira. So if we're used to spreadsheets, how does that work? And other tools kind of make it maybe a little more simpler, things like Airtable, things of that nature. So let's look at all that. So how can Jira play a role in all these things that we do as far as what work is concerned? We talked about Jira Service Management, mainly the focus on help desks and requests. We talked about Jira Software rather, with software development, where you can do all your Agile framework, especially Scrum and Kanban. Trello is very, very similar in a way to Jira Work Management, but Trello is mostly looked upon as a personal task system. I know there's some enterprise levels out there with the tool, but you mostly see it as people doing individual tasks. So all these things have their place within the organization and what's being done. And so then you have Jira Work Management. So the intent is for business teams, like we talked about earlier, and to me, it's any kind of group productivity. So this goes back to your nonprofits and your volunteering and your churches and those types of things, groups that you're connecting with socially to be able to share, and then within the family as well. So if we're planning a big event, sometimes that family is kind of extended, right? So sometimes it's aunts and uncles or grandparents. And what if we had a central location to kind of share all that information and help plan what's going on? So let's take a look at the tool. I'll stop my share here for a minute. And I'm going to hop back in. Okay, so now here we are inside of the Jira tool. So it's going to look very similar. This is just Jira, right? This is not specifically Jira Work Management. So here's the secret about Jira Work Management. It's really Jira Core that we talked about earlier, and it's really the foundation of Jira itself. So it's really that Jira Service Management and Jira software are built on top of the Jira Work Management product. So if you got a subscription to Jira software or Jira Service Management, you get Jira Work Management for free. It comes along with it. So if you got either one of those tools, you have Jira Work Management right now. If you're just getting started with Jira or you want to kind of do, some of this testing out on your own, maybe do it with the family, maybe do it with one of these other organizations, you can easily go out to the website for Jira Work Management. We'll have that link for you at the end. You just create you a free instance. What you're seeing here is actually a free instance. You can get up to 10 users at no cost and be able to do your work. I actually used this free version of it when I was writing the book. So all the screen prints, things of that nature, actually come out of this version. You could even then add things like Confluence or Jira Service Management. Jira Service Management, you can get a free version of that for up to 3 agents that are in there, and that's loaded in my system here, as well as Confluence as well. All this is free. So you have that ability. You can get up and running very, very quickly for what you need to do. So let's take a look. How easy is this to get started then? Once I've got the tool up and running, I'm in there. If I'm going to create a project, I simply click on projects, and then I can click on create a project. Sounds very similar or very simple. You see these built-in templates. Jira Work Management is unique in that all of these templates all apply to Jira Work Management. You've got a few out there for Jira Service Management, but there are dozens of these kind of geared towards the particular type of work, particular type of team really that we're looking at. You see some of those legal operations, design, finance, HR, marketing, et cetera, that we talked about. And so you can choose any of these templates along the way. And then if you go down here to the different products that we talked about earlier as well, and if we just click on Jira Service Management, this brings in all those templates that we talked about. And you can scroll and scroll and scroll and see lots of those. And so if you go into any particular one to take a look at it, it's going to give you some details. So I'm going to click on the project management one, and it's going to give you kind of a layout, but very easy to get started here. I'm just going to call this vacation for now. And we're going to click on the create button. And we're going to get the project created, and there it is. So we're good to go. If you create a project within Jira Work Management, you are automatically administrator. One note, if you're in the free version, if you set that up, you have no control over permissions. Everybody can see everything. Everybody is a Jira administrator within the system. So just be aware of that if you are going to set something up like that. So we see lots of kind of new and interesting things here that we don't see with Jira. First of all, we have this background, this color. We can change the color to all kind of different shades of the rainbow out there, darker pastels, or we can just go back and clear it to a regular white background if you want to do that. So we'll see that a little bit later, but we see our different features within the system. Of course, the mainstay within Jira is the board, or within Jira software is the board. That's very, very similar here. It's going to see the same kind of look and feel to it. One note on this is you're much more limited. There is no kind of board settings or ability to do a lot of customization with it. So you kind of have the board as it is. You could add a second board to it that gets into a little bit more work, and it's not exactly tied to it, but you still see the same information from the project. You could actually create a Jira software board to go along with it. Recently wrote an article out in the Atlassian Community about how to do that. So you can let me know after this presentation. I could send you a link to that if you're interested in how to do that. So if you do need a board that's more flexible, you can just create a second one. It won't be a built-in board like it is here. So this board is, won't get replaced. It'll still be there. All right, so let's look at some of the other tools. To me, the neatest kind of feature that you have out there is this list function, and it operates just kind of like a spreadsheet. So I'm just going to create a little planning task that needs to be done, and we see that show up here. The cool thing about this is all of these fields, these are just the built-in fields that come with this particular project type when you create it, but all of these fields are inline editable. And so I can simply click on it and put my information in. If I want to add more fields, or if I add custom fields, and I'll link the custom fields to the project using my context, you'll see them show up over here, and I'll be able to add those fields into my list screen as well. So you kind of think of queues like we have in Jira Service Management, except within queues, there's only a field or two that you have the ability to do an inline edit to it, maybe changing the status of it, but you can't do all the other fields. So this is really great to be able to go in and do those inline editing and kind of use it like a spreadsheet. Makes it easier to do that. The other thing to me that's really powerful about it are forms. These forms are very, very simple, which makes it great, right? That's kind of the whole purpose of Jira Work Management. Make things simple, make it so that it's easy for people to jump in and start using it right away. I had a situation at the previous work where I took someone who was very, very non-technical, and she was able to create a form literally in about 30 seconds, have it up and running, and created her first issue using the form that she built. So it makes it very easy. Again, you got to be a project administrator on your project to be able to create the form. But I'm just going to click on that down here, create the form, and then you see the fields are over here on the right, and it is as simple as drag and drop. And I can drag this, and then I can grab the handles and I can reorder them. And even on things like the summary field, I can click in it and I can create a different label for it. It'll still be called the summary field, but the field within the form that people see will be what gets shown to them, even though it'll still get captured as the summary field behind the scene. All right, so I'm just going to say what needs to be done there. Do the check. Excuse me, got a little sinus drainage going on as well. Okay, and then we're good to go there. And all we got to do in order to look at it is click on this preview button. It'll take me to another tab. I hope you're seeing that okay. But then you just copy the URL and you can send it to folks, and your form is ready to go. So it's really that simple to be able to create a form. So what I ended up doing, one of the big reasons I used Jira Service Management across the organization was we had a lot of teams that requested work from other teams. And those teams didn't want the other teams coming directly into their project and creating tasks and sticking them on their board. and then kind of controlling, what the priority was, even though they were just being asked for someone else to work on it. So I ended up setting up some Jira Service Management projects on the front, just as intake forms, just as a way to one team receive work from another without letting them create directly on the board. And then I just set up Jira automation so that when the issue is created in the JSM project, it just cloned that over into that particular team's Jira software project. But when you start doing that, now you got extra licenses because now you're adding agents to be able to do that. And they weren't all help desk type teams. They were a whole variety of types of teams. So I kept adding agents and kept raising the cost. And so when Jira Work Management came out with the forms, well, this was wonderful. Now I got a new way to do intake, right? And because all of this is integrated behind the scenes, it functions the same way. I just set up an automation for Jira rule that will either clone the issue when it gets created or, just create a new issue based on the information that's provided either in the form or if somebody creates it directly on the project. So a lot of power there. So the only other place you're seeing forms right now is over in Jira Service Management, and with the acquisition of ThinkTilt and the Proforma forms. That's the only other place within Jira that you have forms available. So this is a nice, easy way. Again, not a lot of power here. Again, designed to be very, very simple. All right, so let's take a look then at the calendar function. Calendar function was great as well. That was another real need I had within our organization. We had some things that were date driven, so not necessarily in our software development, but we had things like people were coming to do a tour of the building, and so those were scheduled on particular dates and times, and we needed a way to have those requests be set up. You see this one all the way down here at the bottom is that task that I created. I'm just going to click on it, right? And it's just going to open up into the normal view that you see within Jira. If I change the date here, and I can save that and close it out, and notice that it just moved here. And so I can also extend it almost like a timeline, right? But we're not in the timeline view yet. We'll be there in a minute. But if you have something that's going to span multiple days, I can just stretch it out. And so these are your, your start and your end dates, your due dates that are associated with that for fields that are already built into Jira Work Management. So you have a way to quickly show those dates, whatever they might be. We had staff meeting at our work every Monday morning. And so set up this type of project for those requests to easily be created. And so on Mondays, you would see all the different presentations that were going to be done. We added in issue level security, which you can also do with Jira Service Management, Jira Work Management. All those same features you can get and implement those as well. So you still have that control with a lot of that flexibility, but just getting up and running and creating is much simpler. And with these wonderful tools, this is the only place you're going to see these tools within the Jira family as well. So the fully inline editable list, the calendar function, like what you're looking at, the very simple forms to get going. And then here's our timeline view. So I just have that one issue that we created over here. Again, you can use that. It uses the same schemes behind the scenes. So your permission scheme, your issue type scheme, your workflow schemes, all those can be incorporated with the tool itself. A little bit more restrictions on the work flow scheme there right now, but they're again fully kind of developing that. So we see it in this is your roadmap, right? So roadmaps and regular standard software projects. If you get into advanced roadmaps, if you have the premium version of Jira, you can do that. And your Jira Work Management project can be used in the advanced roadmaps as well if you have that premium subscription. So we see those there. And then one of the most recent things the ability to link pages. So pages are simply Confluence spaces or a particular Confluence page. And so if you've got that subscription to Confluence, you can simply click on the Connect to Confluence. If you don't already have the space or the page set up, you can create it on the fly and attach it here to this particular project to have more information. Then you start sharing documents and get a lot more information that's available. You can still do knowledge bases and take meeting notes, all those kind of things that you normally do with Confluence. So integrated into the system as well. I know that's recently been something that's been added to Jira Service Management as well. So finally, at the top up here is this kind of summary view. And a lot of people like this. And you don't have any control over this. This is out of the box. This is what you get. There's not a way to go into further kind of edit these or make them flexible, but you got a breakdown by status of all the different issues that are in there, type of work that's being done. These are, of course, just your issue types. If you deal a lot with priorities, you see those workloads. So as far as distributions for the different people, and then this is just your activity string. It's your regular recent activity. So we see the work that's been done, updated, created, all these within the last week to be able to see that. So if I'm going to pop in over here and you see something a little bit different over here with the menu structure for Jira Work Management. And this was added recently as well. These are the other Jira Service Management projects that you've recently been working in. It's your first one. You're not going to see anything, but I pop around into all kind of different things. So now another one that you may not be familiar with is there are actually team managed projects within Jira Work Management as well. Also another fairly recent thing that was added. So you have the company managed projects, and now you have team managed projects where your self-contained teams can manage it all themselves and do the full administration. So those are just like Jira Software team managed. They're not shared with any other project. They're all self-contained. Your company managed projects within Jira Work Management work again, just like Jira Software and those company managed projects where you can share schemes behind the scenes and custom fields, all those kind of things, all works the same. So you just make, good use of that as well. I'm going to pop into the project settings just so you can see that's, again, very, very similar of how that gets set up. This happens to be a team managed project that I just set up, right? So our details, our access, our notifications, all that looks similar from within a regular team managed project as well. And so here we talked about the color scheme. Whenever you go into project settings, no matter the type of project, you get the little paint bucket up here. And if you click on that, then we can choose our colors, right? So it's a little dark blue. That's my favorite color, like that. But let's say we are going to go something a little lighter. So there's a light green, right? So back to the project, and there you have the colors. So if you don't like it, change it around. But you're setting that for, the project as it goes along. And that's going to apply to that project. I'm going to pop out here to sort of the banner project that I used when I was writing the book to be able to see some things with some more information. These dates are kind of old as well, so it takes you back. Even these are a year old from when the book was in the final stages of being written. Pop on the list screen, see a few more things happening there. Lots of information, again, all inline editable. Nothing for this current year. I'd have to go back, but I can change my dates and my months up here as well. So that's the tool. That's what it looks like. Very easy to use. You can get started today. You can start it up in 30 minutes. You'll be up and running, have a new free instance, be able to use it, create your things, and begin working. So let me go back into our presentation. and share that. Okay. So here we go. Let's close this out. Here's some resources that are available to you, and Robert's going to pop those up into the chat as well, so you can kind of copy and paste those. If you're interested in the Jira Work Management for Business Teams book that I wrote, it's available from the publisher at Packet. You can also find it on Amazon and O'Reilly. There are ebooks available, as well as paperback print books as well that you can use that. I will say there's already been some changes, obviously, because the tool continues to move forward, but you're going to get a good base, very hands-on, lots of screenshots to walk you through getting things set up, just like what we talked about. It'll get more into the schemes, how to do those. It's even going to talk about some other third-party tools that are available, and ones that I used a lot in my work as well, with the Jira Work Management projects and other types of projects as well. And I also really encourage you to get involved with the Atlassian community. There's no cost for this. It's just a bunch of users, right? So users like me and Robert and others that if you got a question, you can go out in any of the products and be able to ask questions and get some experts that are in the tool every day using it. Those folks are going to hopefully provide some answers to you, and they're a very timely way to do that. If they're not able to answer it, they'll give you some links to maybe contact Atlassian support. But your first line, I think, your quickest way, and having experts look at it, and because these are users too, just like you and me. And so there's good ways to learn other things that's going on out there. It's not just because you have a question, but look at the other things that other people are posting and see if it kind of spurs you along to help. And then finally, just the homepage for Jira Work Management is down there as well. And you can click on that, and that's where you'll be able to create a new site for yourself, call it what you want. And you can create those again for free. So that's it. We got a few minutes left, and just going to open it up. If anybody has any questions, you can either put them in the chat, and we'll see if there's anything there. So Robert, any questions out there so far?
Hey, John. Looks like we got 2 questions, and I apologize if I am butchering the pronunciation of your name, but it looks like they're from Yanaki. And the first question they had was, can we implement timeline feature for JSW issues?
Well, it's going to not be called timeline, but there is on the standard subscription for JSW, it's the roadmap. So if you go into your board, create your board, go into your board settings, and over on your menu on the left where you have where you can create quick filters and control your columns and things of that nature, you'll see a roadmap. So it's not the same as the timeline in Jira Work Management, but they're very, very close. I'm not really sure why they called them different things, but you would be able to see that there.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Yanaki, if if you have if you want to expound on your questions, please feel free to ping that in chat, or if that answered it, that would be helpful. So the second question they had was, can we use any custom date picker fields instead of the due date in the calendar view?
The calendar field, or the calendar view, is going to be very limited to just those particular date fields that they use. Right now, it's the start date and the due date. You can use those fields in there. But if you create custom fields, it's not going to show up on the calendar view just yet. There may be a feature request out there for that. Pretty sure there probably is, because I probably put one in myself. But it's one of those things. Hopefully it's on the roadmap for the Jira Work Management development team to get added. But right now, no, you're not going to be able to do the custom date fields on the calendar view. Okay, any other questions out there? All right, Inaki, what we're going to do, because you asked some questions for you, we're going to get you a free ebook of the Jira Work Management for business teams for participating. We appreciate that, and we'll get your contact.
Sorry to interrupt. It looks like you got
Yep.
one more question from Allison.
Okay.
She said, apologies, but how do you enable the summary page? I found that so helpful.
It's just built in. The summary page is unique to Jira Work Management. It's one of those, kind of like the calendar view and the simple forms and the list, but it's built in with every Jira Work Management project. And again, you can't control the content in the summary page or how it is how it is arranged, but it's available in every Jira Work Management project. Okay, well, let's get Allison a free ebook as well for asking that question. So we'll get the information from you guys and be able to get that to you. So that's going to do it. Oops, let me go back in there. All right, so here's my email, john@funk4.com. Feel free to connect with me. If you got other questions and things, for sure use the Jira Community, because there'll be lots of eyes out there, dozens, hundreds of people can see those questions that you have and be able to help answer those. And thank you for taking the time to come hear me talk. I realized just a little bit earlier, there's actually a live Atlassian event on work life that's happening out in San Francisco, an in-person one. And I found out that at the same time as my talk is Magic Johnson. So there you go. There's my competition today. So appreciate you coming. Feel free to email me if you got questions. Here's the lineup that's coming up next. And hope you guys continue to enjoy JiraCon 22. And hopefully I will cross paths with you in the future. Thanks again, Robert, for being my moderator, and to Trundle for hosting this.
John,
Everybody
sorry
have a
to
good
interrupt.
afternoon.
We do have one more question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's by
Okay.
Amir. Will JWM auto create a ticket upon email being sent by customer?
You can set that up just as a regular Jira software does. There's not a built-in function like there is with Jira Service Management, but it's the same process that you would set up for Jira software to be able to have an email create a ticket within Jira Work Management. So yes, that is available. Okay, is that going to do it for our questions?
Yeah, thank you, John.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Y'all have a good rest of the afternoon.